So today we're going to talk about creating goals and why it's important. And then we're going to walk over to success factors and I'll show you how to put them in the system. So why is setting goals so critically important for our associates? Well, most associates want clear expectations on their deliverables for their jobs. And this really impacts an associate's performance and their productivity. There's a lot of studies out there on the internet that tells us this to be true. So I want to share with you one of these studies, one that I find very fascinating. And this one comes from a 2003 study conducted by the Leadership and Development Roundtable, who found that explaining performance expectations has the highest return on investment of any manager-led employee development activity, higher than providing feedback, coaching, giving advice, or individual development plans. Now, as you can see on the screen, obviously these things are still important and they still lead to increased productivity, but goals is what matters the most and gives us the most return on investment. So a little bit of time spent setting goals with your associates at the beginning of the year or the beginning of a project or potentially the beginning of a period can really help that associate understand what they need to focus on, and in turn will increase their performance and productivity. And Success Factors is our online performance management tool that Acosta uses to set goals for associates. Success Factors is a really easy to use system and it's highly intuitive. And what this does is it allows us some visibility into goals that are happening throughout the company, to make sure that we're focused on things like accomplishing Acosta's strategic priorities. This is an online paperless system, so there's really no spreadsheets or things that we have to track or send through email, and you can access it anytime you're connected to the Acosta network. And at the beginning of the year, we set goals and clarify expectations for our associates so that throughout the year, we can hold them accountable to the progress of those goals. So Success Factors also has some different options that you can use for tracking goals and commenting on goals throughout the year so that when you get to the end of the year, when we do our formal annual review process, it goes a lot easier. So we're actually going to step into Success Factors now, and I'm going to walk you through how do you put your goals into the system. Okay, we are at My Acosta now, and all access to Success Factors happens through My Acosta. You should never be prompted for a login or a user ID for the system. You're automatically logged in as long as you're logged into the Acosta network. So to access the system, you go through My Acosta, under the Associates Matter section, and click on the link that says Success Factors. When you do that, you're on the Success Factors page on My Acosta, and I have to click one more button to actually get into the system. So the one here at the top that says click here to enter Success Factors. When I click here, it's going to take me into the Success Factors system, and I'm going to arrive at what we call the home page. So the home page, think of this as like your dashboard for Success Factors. And what this does is it gives you some quick visibility into things that are happening in the system. So you can see right here, we even have a goals tile. And right now I don't have any goals, but once I go in and put these in, they're going to show up on my goals tile. So to get to the goals section of the system, you would use the main navigation dropdown, and that's over here on the top left. When you hit the arrow, you're going to have some options, and so we're going to be talking about goals today, which is corresponding to performance goals or the things that you need to accomplish in your job. There's other pieces of the system as well, like performance, which is for reviews, or whenever there's a review form in the system, it would show up here. There's development, which is for development goals, or think of these as learning goals. Company information, associate files, or my associate file. And if you're a manager, you'd have access to reporting as well. So we're talking about goals today. Let's go into the goals module. Okay, we are in the goals section now. If anytime you lose track of where you are in the system, you can take a quick glance at the top left at that main navigation, and it's going to show you exactly which page you're on. When I first come into the goals module, you can see my name is right here. So today we're operating as Alex Anderson, who is a test manager for the purpose of demonstration. I can also see what year goal plan I am on, so I can also flip back to prior years. And there's a couple other buttons over here on the right for how I add goals. Now I'm just going to show you a little bit about the visibility of this page, and then we'll go in step by step to these buttons and I'll show you exactly what they do. The first button here is the Cascade button. And this button appears for a manager once they have goals on their goal plan. Once the goals are on their goal plan, they can use this Cascade button to pass down goals from a manager to an associate. The Add New button allows us to do just that. We can add new goals into the system using this button. The Display button is for changing the display of this page. So when you click on the display, it gives you some options so that you can change the layout to whatever makes sense for you. You also have a print button, so I can print to HTML or PDF. And an example of this would be, let's say somebody requests a copy of my goals. I can certainly come over and print off a copy as a PDF and email it to them if I need to. At the top of the page, you'll see an introduction, and the introductions are important. I always like to encourage people to take the time to read the introductions. We put instructions in here, or best practices, things that are relevant to that piece of the system, and it can really help you understand what that section of the system is for. As I scroll down, you'll see there are 4 categories here, and the categories correspond to Acosta's strategic priorities. So, continue making Acosta a great place to work, deliver channel and leadership and service excellence, sell one more service to every client, and meet our financial targets. So that's really it. Pretty basic for the view. I don't have any goals yet in my 2015 goal plan, so we're going to go back in and start to add goals. But before we do that, I want to clarify what would be the difference, or why would you use the Cascade button versus the Add New button. So here we go. Here's the difference between the Add New and Cascade buttons in the system. Add New allows you to create a new goal, and you'll either have an option to create a personal goal, which means you'll create a goal from scratch, or you can choose a library goal. This is a SuccessFactors library that suggests text for you to write your goals with. Also in the Add New area, you have what's called a goal wizard. The goal wizard walks you through adding SMART goals to the system. Now you're probably saying, of course my goals are SMART, but SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-bound, which really talks about how crystal clear expectations should be made when you're writing goals. The Cascade button is how a manager can pass down goals to their associates. Now, a caution on the Cascade button. You don't want to just get a cascaded goal from your manager and not change it to make sure that it is specific as possible to what you're going to do in your job or your role. What are the specific measurements, metrics, clients, etc. that you need to be concentrating on in your job? So cascaded goals, again, it's an easy way to pass down goals through the system. It also shows us how people are connected in terms of everyone from Robert Hill down to a business manager assistant. But as that goal, each time that goal gets cascaded, it should be customized and be made really specific to the person that actually has the goal on their goal plan. Okay, let's go back over to SuccessFactors now, and we're going to click through these buttons and start adding some goals into our goal plan. Let's start with the Add New button. So I mentioned that with Add New, you have some options. You can create a new goal or you can use the goal wizard. So let's create a new goal. And when I create a new goal, I have that option to either do a personal goal, remember goal from scratch, or library goal is suggested text. So personal goal, I'm in a blank goal window right now. So we call this pop-up the goal window. And the goal window is where all of the information for your goal is contained. You can see that any fields marked with the red asterisk are required. So I'm actually going to walk you through each of the fields and tell you what they are. Visibility, the first field here, they can be either public or private. I'm going to recommend you leave them all as public so that your manager can see your goals and other leaders in your organization can see your goals. The next section is category. So categories, remember these are Acosta's strategic priorities, so you can change this. The goal name is going to be just a high level name for whatever you want this goal to be. So we'll use an example here, meet Clorox financial objectives of 25%. Okay, so just high level, this tells me what I'm working on. The next field is the description. Here's where we want to get even more specific about the goal. So what are the things or what are the actions that I need to take to accomplish this goal of meeting Clorox financial objectives? So I may need to conduct annual planning with Clorox, go on quarterly sales calls, meet with clients. So again, I'm just typing and getting really crystal clear on what is it going to take for me to accomplish that goal. The key measurement are what are the metrics or measurements or numbers or number of items or widgets or number of times that are going to speak to me and tell me that I have been successful in accomplishing this goal. So I mentioned up top that, we're meeting the financial objectives of 25%. Maybe I want to say here 25% increase in bonus target for Clorox, or whatever that is. That again is going to tell me very specifically what do I need to be focused on that is going to tell me that I'm successful in accomplishing this goal. The next field is weight. The weight is going to be either the percent of your job that this goal is, or it may even be the percent of time that you spend on this goal in your overall job. So think about your whole job. Your whole job is 100%. So all of your goals, once you get all these in, they should total 100%. So in this example, this goal is only 20% of my job, which means I have another 80% of goals that I need to write in the system. You have a start date and a due date. All goals should have a deadline. Now, this is going to default to the end of the fiscal year, but you can change that. Perhaps it's a project or it's a quarterly goal. You can certainly modify the start date and due date. These other fields at the bottom, these are for tracking. So I mentioned that this system is very easy, intuitive, and it allows for tracking and accountability throughout the year. So these fields at the bottom of the goal window are for tracking. So I can indicate at any time throughout the year, how am I doing? So I am 15% complete of this job, of this goal. I am on track, I'm behind, completed, postponed. So you've got some statuses to choose from. You can add tasks. So tasks would be things that I might need to do to make progress on this goal. So I need to use the IPE process to conduct annual planning. So I could add a task. I can add milestones. So what are milestones? Milestones are a great way to break down a goal. So let's say that your goal is really this lofty year-long thing of meeting 25% for your client. Well, you may know that the beginning of the year is you typically more successful than the end of the year. Or you may know that, I need to focus on this goal more towards the later part of the year or whatever that is. But milestones break it down. So you can say, maybe I only need to meet 10% this quarter, or maybe I need to meet 20% by the end of the third quarter. So make sure that you're using milestones and tasks, because again, it just kind of keeps you on track throughout the year. It also will help you when you're completing your annual review and writing maybe a self-evaluation, or if you're a manager, writing your associate's evaluation. These tools can be very, very helpful. Think about a situation where you are a manager and you have 10 associates. I don't know about you, but sometimes I can't even remember what I did last month. So the milestones and the tracking help me look back in the system, and I can get a quick snapshot of everything that I've done to accomplish that goal throughout the year. And then when I go to write my self-evaluation, it's super easy to do. So milestones, we're going to put in a milestone for this goal. We're going to say by the end of May, I want to have met 10% target, or whatever that might be. So this goal is just an example. Your goals should speak specifically to what you're going to do in your job. We're going to save changes. Now, when I save changes, here is that goal that we just added. So you've got the visibility, you've got the goal name, the key measurement, the weighting, start date, due date. You have percent complete. What is the status of that goal, the description, the milestones, the tasks. So all of that information appears right here on your goal plan. Let's say I made a mistake. For example, I just saw that I made a spelling mistake. So I can always go back in and edit the goal. And that takes me right back into the goal window where I can make changes at any point in time. You also have a spell check, so you can spell check anything that you write in here. You have another tool called Legal Scan, which is interesting. Let's say I write something in here that I probably don't want to include in an online formal document. Legal Scan can help catch some of those words, and the system will point out to me, hey, this might be a word that you want to reconsider. So it doesn't actually change it for me, it just scans the wording and it'll tell me, hey, you might want to delete this word or reconsider it, and here's why. And then when I go back in, I can edit my text and delete out any words that might cause concern. So the first few times you use the system, it might be a good idea to use Legal Scan. All right, again, we made an edit to our goal, so we can simply go in and save changes, and it'll update here on the goal plan. All right, so we just did add new, create a new goal. We're going to do create a new goal again, and I'm going to show you the library goal. So remember, library goal is suggested text. So let's say that my role is in sales, and I am in individual sales. You can see that this opens up a library of different types of goals that might be relevant for me. So read through these, and oh, this is the one that it sounds like something that I am responsible for in my job. So I'm going to go ahead and select that goal by checking the box next to it and add selected goal. When I do that, it brings me right back into that goal window. And it gives me some suggested text, but you can see that it's pretty generic, and I actually need to come in and customize this. So I might want to say 20% by end of the fiscal year. I may want to change the category for this one. And then I'm also going to need to add in a description, the measurement, the weighting, so all of those required fields. We're going to cancel out of that so I can show you the other buttons here. So add new, let's go back there, add new. You've got the goal wizard. The goal wizard, remember, this walks you through step by step how to write SMART goals in the system. SMART meaning specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So specific is the first one. Here is a good idea. On this goal wizard, read the tips at the bottom. So this will help you write your goals. And it says goals should be straightforward and state what you want to happen, be specific, and define what you're going to do. So I'm going to say create. And you can see also as I type, it starts to bring in that suggested goal library. So I can either select from those here, or I can just continue typing to type my own goal. Categories here at the top. Then I'm going to do next. So now we go to measurable. How will you measure this goal? Tip at the bottom. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Choose which goals with measurable progress and establish concrete criteria for measuring the success of your goal. Next, is the goal attainable? So it's asking you if it's in your capacity to meet this goal. Yes, but don't make it too easy. You want goals that are going to push you a little bit. Relevant. So is this goal relevant to my position, to the rest of my goals, to the team? Is it going to help Acosta accomplish their strategic priorities? Yes. Finally, time-bound. Every goal should have a start date and a due date. Again, you can change that here as well. All right, we're going to cancel out of that one and go to this last button, the Cascade button. Now, to cascade a goal, remember this is when, if I'm a manager, I can pass down a goal to my associate. Anytime that cascade feature is used, let's say I do decide to cascade a goal to my associate, the associate is going to receive an email notification. So just keep that in mind. And if you're the associate, you'll get a notification that you have a new goal added on your goal plan. So I'm going to select the box next to this goal that we just wrote, and I'm going to come back up to Cascade. And the first thing that it's going to ask me is, who do you want to cascade this goal to? I want to cascade it to David Drew. I'm going to hit next. Again, goal window. So it tells me edit the goal before cascading it to the selected recipients. So if I'm the manager, I can actually customize this goal for my associate to make sure that it's specific to what they're going to accomplish in their job. So maybe my target is 25%, but that associate says, hey, I think I can help you with that and I can contribute 10%. So then I want to change the goal to reflect that 10%. So we're going to say 10%. 10%. And I would hit the Cascade button to pass this down to my associate. If you're the associate and you get a goal that is cascaded to you, you always want to go into the system and look at the goals and then clarify them with your manager and make sure you edit them if needed so that you can, again, get real specific on what are you going to accomplish in your job. So we just cascaded that goal to David Drew. And you can tell down here at the bottom it says goal aligned down to David Drew. Now, in this example, I am a manager, Alex Anderson, so I can at any time flip over to my associate's goal plan. So let's take a look at David. And I can see any goals that are on David's goal plan, as well as alerts that tell me that these are aligned or linked together with a goal that I have on my goal plan. We're going to go ahead and flip back over as Alex now. And the last thing I want to show you before we wrap up is all of the things that you can do under this action button. So from the action button, we already talked about that you can jump back in anytime and edit your goals, but you can also go in just to view the detail of the goal. You can go in to see how they're aligned, either up or down. You can add your goals to Outlook, so that's a good reminder for your goals. You can also delete goals as well. So this action button gives you some other options to manage your goals along the way. We're going to wrap things up. This is really all there is to the goal plan. Very intuitive, very easy to use. We talked about how do you add new goals, how goals might be cascaded from a manager to associate. Talked that the introduction is out here to provide you with some guidance as well. and we showed you exactly what the goals look like and how to manage those along the way. I have a few recommended things that I want to talk about real quick before you leave for the day that will help get you started. Here's what you'll need to do next. Discuss your goals with your manager, so set up a meeting time to meet with them and talk about the things that you want to accomplish in the year and really get clear on what your expectations are for your performance in your job. Then you can come into Success Factors and add your goals or write those out. And again, I would also, once you have your goals written, it's a good idea to check back in with your manager and have them read them over, give you some feedback, and make sure that you're on the right track. If your manager is cascading goals to you, you always want to go in the system and check those out, make sure that they're accurate and they reflect what you're really going to contribute in your job for the year. However, I also caution you, you don't want to wait for that cascade. Sometimes that process can take a long time. So you can always come in and add your goals in, clarify with your manager if they'll be cascading to you maybe additional goals, customize those, and you can always add to your goals later in the year. You can edit your goals along the way. You can update them. You can delete goals. So stay in touch with your manager, use the system to add your goals at the beginning of the year, and then come back in and track your progress along the way. I recommend you do that at least quarterly. You could set an Outlook reminder on your calendar to come back into the system quarterly and use some of those tracking features like status, tasks, milestones, to show your progress towards your goals. So when you get to the annual review, very easy to write a self-evaluation. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. We'll be back again with more videos and tutorials and guides and things to help you out. So we're here to support you. If you have any questions though, please send us an email at successfactors@acosta.com.